Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Dorna CEO Carmelo Ezpeleta has slammed claims that Jack Miller's 2025 MotoGP spot is a passport ride due to his nationality, calling the accusations nonsense. This comes after Miller secured a place with Pramac Yamaha following a reshuffle in KTM's lineup. Marc Márquez secured 2 podium finishes at the Japanese Grand Prix, holding off Enea Bastianini's challenge to remain in the fight for third place in the championship standings. Marquez's performance demonstrated his resilience as he navigates the intense competition in MotoGP. Marco Bezzecchi has had a challenging season in MotoGP, falling short of the success he achieved in 2023. However, experts believe the young Italian rider still has a bright future ahead, especially with his upcoming move to Aprilia. Yamaha has acknowledged that Fabio Quartararo's skill can sometimes make it harder for them to identify issues with their MotoGP bike. To counter this, they plan to bolster their 2025 lineup with 2 experienced riders, aiming to improve overall performance. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Jack Miller, the Australian MotoGP rider, was at risk of losing his place on the grid after being replaced at KTM by rising star Pedro Acosta for 2025. Initially overlooked for the Tech 3 squad, Miller's hopes were reignited when Pramac Yamaha stepped in to sign him. However, Miller's inclusion has sparked debate, with some alleging that his nationality, rather than his talent, secured him a spot, claims that Dorna CEO Carmelo Ezpeleta firmly rejected. It's nonsense. Jack Miller has won MotoGP races, and those who criticize him have won less than him. Let's not come with nonsense. Quote from Carmelo Ezpeleta. The discussion around Miller ties into a larger debate about nationality representation in MotoGP. Spanish and Italian riders dominate the grid, leading some to argue that it's harder for these riders to break into MotoGP due to organizers wanting a more global spread. Ezpeleta defended the approach, drawing comparisons to the Olympics, where only the best from each country advance. He emphasized the need for MotoGP to remain a global championship, rather than one dominated by riders from a single nation, even if that means some talented Spanish or Italian riders are left out. It cannot be that we occupy the grid with Spaniards. This has to be a world championship. If you are from a place where there are many, you have to be better. While MotoGP has a history of champions from Australia, the United States, and other nations, the grid has been dominated by Spanish and Italian riders in recent years. Ezpeleta warned that this trend is unsustainable and hinted that future grids will have fewer Spaniards and Italians to make room for more diverse nationalities. Ezpeleta also pointed out that the number of races held in Spain will be reduced after 2026, as MotoGP aims to further its global reach. We will not be able to continue having 4 Grands Prix in Spain. It just can't be, Ezpeleta concluded. As MotoGP strives for a more global representation, Carmelo Ezpeleta remains firm in his belief that talent, not nationality, should be the deciding factor. Jack Miller's place on the 2025 grid is secure, with the Dorna CEO dismissing criticisms as baseless. Marc Márquez, riding for Gresini Racing, delivered a stellar weekend at Motegi with 2 third-place finishes, one in Saturday's sprint and another in Sunday's race. These results keep Marquez locked in a fierce battle for third place in the overall standings with Enea Bastianini, who is currently 2 points ahead of him. In Saturday's sprint, Bastianini edged out Marquez for second place, but on Sunday, the Spaniard reversed the outcome, successfully defending his position against the Italian to close the points gap. The only difference between the sprint and the race is that on Sunday I started the battle at the front. In today's MotoGP, whoever starts the battle in front has everything to win. Quote from Marc Márquez. Marquez was upfront about the difficulty of competing against Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia, the 2 championship leaders, who he said were pushing each other to new limits. Marquez emphasized the importance of maintaining pace with the top riders but admitted that a mistake late in the race dashed any hopes of catching Bagnaia and Martin, who finished first and second, respectively. The idea was not to get too far behind Pecco and Jorge. But when I started to prepare for an attack, I made a mistake and went wide. Despite this, Marquez was satisfied with his performance, noting the significant gap, 17 seconds, between his third-place finish and the fifth-place rider. As the championship battle between Bagnaia and Martin intensifies, Marquez praised both riders for pushing each other to their limits. He hinted that at this pace, mistakes are inevitable for all involved, himself included. When asked about the title contenders, Marquez, who will be joining the official Ducati team next season, said he still believes Martin has the upper hand, despite Bagnaia's recent success at MotoGP. At this pace, it's difficult to avoid mistakes in every race. I think one of them will slip up again. I know I probably will too if I keep pushing this hard. I still think Martin has the upper hand. Starting 11th and finishing second is no easy feat. Marquez has faced some challenges with his Gresini GP23, particularly with braking, an issue that has been apparent since Misano. He addressed the question about a long section in turn 11 during the race, clarifying that it was a rider error rather than a braking issue. That long section was my mistake. I braked too late and decided to go wide rather than risk a fall, Marquez concluded. Despite some setbacks, Marc Márquez's performance at the Japanese GP keeps him firmly in the battle for third in the championship. As he continues to challenge the top riders, he remains focused on finishing the season strong and preparing for his move to Ducati next year. After a breakthrough 2023 season, where Marco Bezzecchi won his first MotoGP races and finished third in the championship, this year has been a significant step back. The VR46 Ducati rider struggled with the GP23 bike and faced stiff competition, including from Marc Márquez, who excelled on the same machinery. Neil Hodgson, a TNT sports analyst, explained that Bezzecchi's challenges were unexpected, especially given his strong performance last season. Bez's season is one of the shocks. He finished last season third in the world. He was always there, he put a good season together. Quote from Neil Hodgson. Bezzecchi has found the transition from the GP22 to the GP23 difficult, particularly with the rear Michelin tire, which he never fully adapted to. The rise of the GP24 Ducatis, which have dominated the field, also played a role in his dip in form. Hodgson noted that many would have expected an injury to explain Bezzecchi's absence from the top 10, but the reality is a combination of technical and confidence issues. Bez lost his way, lost confidence, never got on with the Michelin rear tire. Everything went against him. Despite the setbacks, Hodgson remains optimistic about Bezzecchi's future. The Italian rider has already signed with Aprilia for the 2025 season, where he will partner with Jorge Martin as a factory rider. Bezzecchi is still viewed as a major talent in the sport, and many believe his best performances are still ahead of him. I am not writing him off. He's a super talented kid who is moving to Aprilia. He's a young lad and the best is yet to come. Bezzecchi's decision to stay with VR46 last season, rejecting a move to Pramac Ducati where he would have had the latest spec machine, may have contributed to his current struggles. However, with his move to Aprilia, Bezzecchi is expected to take another step forward in his career. As Marco Bezzecchi prepares to transition to Aprilia, fans and experts alike are eager to see if the Italian rider can bounce back and recapture the form that made him a contender in 2023. For the past 2 seasons, Yamaha has relied heavily on Fabio Quartararo's ability to cope with a below-par machine, and this has led to unexpected challenges. Yamaha's technical director, Max Bartolini, explained to Sky that Quartararo's brilliance sometimes makes it more difficult for the team to uncover underlying problems. There is a risk when you have talented riders like Fabio, who adapt quickly and cover up problems. We are also trying to get as much information as possible from Alex Rins when he is okay and from other sources," Bartolini told Bike Crash. Yamaha has also been relying on Andrea Dovizioso, who replaced the injured Cal Crutchlow in their test team. However, Bartolini admitted that Dovizioso's long-term role remains uncertain. To address their challenges, Yamaha is making significant changes to their 2025 lineup by adding 2 experienced riders, Jack Miller and Miguel Oliveira, to the newly established Pramac satellite team. Both riders bring extensive experience from Yamaha's competitors, with Miller having ridden for Honda, Ducati, and KTM, and Oliveira for KTM and Aprilia. Having heterogeneous riders will certainly help. It will be up to us to exploit their strengths and characteristics. The additional 2 bikes from Pramac Racing will provide Yamaha with more data to accelerate their development. The team hopes to use this information to close the gap with their rivals. In the long term, Yamaha is looking to implement significant changes to their bike's design, including the introduction of a V4 engine. This move would align Yamaha with the engine configuration used by their closest rivals, potentially bringing more competitiveness to the grid. As Yamaha prepares for the 2025 season, the addition of experienced riders like Miller and Oliveira, combined with new engine developments, could help them regain their competitive edge. With Quartararo continuing to lead the way, the team aims to make significant strides in closing the gap to their rivals. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. See you in the next video.